Today on the Ask BP podcast, we're talking about the 10 most common mistakes new investors make. Stay tuned.
You're listening to another BiggerPockets Ask BP podcast, where you'll hear short, direct answers to your biggest real estate questions. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forums by using hashtag AskBP. And don't forget to pick up your copy of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing and other great content when you sign up for your free account at BiggerPockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? My name is Brandon, and you are watching the Ask BP podcast. Today, we are talking about mistakes, the most common mistakes that people make in their real estate investing. And we're going to talk about how you can hopefully avoid those mistakes by learning from others. You know, I'm a big believer in the idea of learning from your mistakes. I mean, we all, heard that a million times in our life. You learn from your mistakes. That's true. But you also learn from other people's mistakes. So my goal today is to share with you the most common mistakes I see newbies making so you can avoid them and find greater success without having to experience all the difficulties. So today's question comes to us from Nate from Vicksburg, Michigan, and he just asks, what are the most common mistakes new investors make as they get started investing in real estate? So Nate, first of all, the biggest mistake I see people making is not committing. They want to do it, but they don't do it. It's the same like, I want to get a six-pack abs, but I'm not committed to doing it. I'm not committed to dieting and doing crunches and all that. I want to do it, I'm not committed. So the first mistake I see people make is they're not fully committed. They want, but they don't have the desire, deep enough to commit to it. And so that's the first mistake I see. The second mistake I see people make quite often is buying deals that they should never have bought. They get excited. They want to go buy a deal and they say, I'm going to go buy a property. That one looks like a good one, and they go buy it. They don't buy the right property because they don't do a good enough analysis on it. They don't, learn enough before buying it. They just jump in before they're ready. Now, I know number one and number two kind of seem contradictory. People who never really do it and then people who buy too quickly. There is a fine line in there where you learn enough and you study enough, but you also take action. So trying to find that line is maybe why it's so difficult to jump in and get started. So again, number one is not committing. Number two is buying a property that they should have never bought. Number three mistake I see all the time, both from the rental and the flipping side, is the idea of overestimating your numbers. Meaning overestimating your ARV, which is your after repair value. You're overestimating it, thinking, I think this thing will sell for 180. Nope, it'll sell for 130. Or I'm gonna rent this property for $850 a month, when all the comps and all the other properties are rented for $750 a month. And so a lot of times we let emotion come in and we think things are going to be worth way more or rent for way more than they really are because we're emotionally tied to the deal. And so that's a mistake that people often make, are overestimating those numbers. Another one is underestimating the repairs needed. That's number four, is people underestimate the amount of repairs that a property is going to take to get fixed up. I make this mistake every time pretty much I do a property. I'm always over budget a little bit because, I don't know, I'm so optimistic, and I'm like, hey, I can do this thing for $50, and it's like $100, and I'm like, dang it. So don't make the mistake. Get good bids from good contractors. If you're unsure of how to estimate rehab costs, make sure you check out the book by Jay Scott called The Book on Estimating Rehab Costs. Fantastic book. Highly, highly recommend it. So check that out. You can get it at biggerpockets.com/flipping book. You can get it with the flipping book, or you can get it on Amazon. Next mistake, people don't plan for property management. This goes with the rental side, but people don't plan for property management. Now, here's what I mean by that. Now, you don't need to have a property manager to look after your properties. In fact, I don't. I manage my wife manages my properties. My wife, and then we have, one part-time office assistant who helps. So we don't hire a professional property management business to manage our properties. However, a mistake that I've made in my life, and I've made all the way up until a couple years ago when I realized this concept, is this. When I started out, I could manage one property on my own with no problem. I got a second property, I can manage that as well. I got 2, 3, 5, 10, 15. Today I'm up to 40 some units, and it's too many for me to handle myself. Now I could keep buying up to 50, 60, 100, 200, whatever, but at some point you can no longer manage yourself. If you're trying to be in this for the long run, you don't want to manage forever. And if you're going to buy a lot of properties, you can't manage forever. And so I think a big mistake people make is not budgeting for property management. When you buy it, you should plan on someday needing property management. So buy it with that assumption that someday you'll use property management, and then you'll be able to afford it when that day comes. So that was number 5. Number 6, let's see, picking the wrong contractor. Now this is a mistake that everybody makes, whether you're a homeowner or an investor or whatever. People always pick the wrong contractor. There are a lot of really bad contractors out there. And I've probably hired, I don't know, like 100 contractors in my day, and probably 80% of them have been terrible. It's just the nature of the beast. A lot of contractors are bad. So just make sure you do all your due diligence up front to make sure you are hiring a good contractor who's going to do what they say they're going to do. I recommend getting good referrals from other people. Make sure you don't pay them too much money. You want to make sure that they're eager to do more work because they want to get paid more. You know, if you give a huge chunk of money up front, they have no incentive to hurry up because they already got paid. So make sure you just choose your contractor carefully, pick the right one, and do your due diligence on getting them. The next one would be not learning enough. And we kind of talked about this earlier about jumping in, but I want to talk about just lack of education. You know, a lot of times, like I'll write like this super detailed article on BiggerPockets, like how to rent your house. It's like a 6,000 word article, every single step-by-step process for renting your house out. And I'll do that entire thing. And then like people will email me and be like, I'm trying to rent my house out and I'm having this problem. And I'm like, here, go read this. And they're like, well, I don't have time. I just want to know the answer. Like, if you don't value your education, like, how do you expect to excel in this game? So make sure you continue to learn and don't put education off as a non-important thing. All right, time for the next one. And the next one is people let their lack of money stop them from investing in real estate. I think that's a mistake. People say, I don't have enough money, so I'm not going to invest. And they wait for years and years and years to invest in real estate when, you know, just because you don't have a lot of money doesn't mean you can't invest. There's a lot of strategies for investing with low or no money down that aren't slimy and weird, right? There's actually like real legit ways to do this. And so I want to encourage you to at least look into those ideas. If you want to know more, obviously pick up the copy of the book on investing in real estate with no and low money down, which you can get at biggerpockets.com/no money. So make sure you check that out because I wrote it. And yeah, don't not invest in real estate just because you think that you can't afford it. Next mistake that I notice people make is they listen to other people's negativity. You know, real estate investors don't have the best image in the world. Like the landlord doesn't have a great image. The public doesn't really like the landlord. It's like the man, right? And like, but we look at that as like a good thing. We want to be a landlord because we want that financial freedom, but a lot of the world doesn't think so. So when you tell people you want to get into real estate, they, you know, roll their eyes or they say, sure you do, or, you know, whatever. You'll get, people will say, hey, look, there comes the slumlord, and like kind of jokingly, but like, it's kind of this negativity of you can't do this and you're in a crappy business or whatever. Like the negativity, just don't listen to that. It's a huge mistake I see people make oftentimes. So make sure you don't listen to that. And our final mistake of today is not engaging on BiggerPockets.com. Seriously, the people that I see engaging daily on the site, just involved in the forums, responding to comments, sending out messages, talking to each other, interacting, analyzing properties on the calculators, you know, watching webinar replays at the Pro Replay Room, all those things, the people who are most committed to jumping in, those are the people that I see succeeding the fastest and the best. So if you're not participating on BP and networking and growing your knowledge base, you're missing out. So those are the 10 mistakes that I see most newbies making with real estate investing. So hopefully that helps you out there. And let's get out of here. Today's quote of the day comes from Mark Kane. And Mark Kane said, "The first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be a captive of the environment in which you first find yourself." I'll say that again. The first step towards success is taken when you refuse to be a captive of the environment in which you first find yourself in. So whatever situation you find yourself in today, you are not stuck there for life. You are not a prisoner of your circumstances. You can do whatever you want. I mean, really, like your parents said that when you're a kid, it's totally true. You can do whatever you want with your life. So get out there and do something cool with your life. With that, let's get out of here. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give me a nice thumbs up. If you are listening to this on iTunes, send me a nice old rating and or review on iTunes or on Stitcher if you're watching this there. So with that, let's get out of here. Remember, in pursuit of your dreams, for real estate domination. Don't just learn, take action. For the Ask BP podcast, my name is Brandon, signing off.
You've just heard another episode of the BiggerPockets Ask BP podcast. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the BiggerPockets forum by using hashtag AskBP. And for more incredible real estate investing tools and education, including a free download of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, head over to BiggerPockets.com and sign up for your free account today. We'll see you on the next show.